Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to the Honey Bunches of Goats podcast with your man Kyle.
Raul.
We got KJ. What up?
What up?
What it do, guys?
Hey guys. Episode number 6. We took a week hiatus. My birthday passed last week, so we got lit. We had mad shorties pull up. I'm just joking. I really don't celebrate my birthday. I'm not that type of person. But we had a week hiatus. And we have actually a lot of fights to cover in the past 2 weekends, right?
Hell
guys?
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think the first fight we wanted to cover, the first fight actually we were all watching at the same time, was the Jose Ramirez versus Viktor Postol fight. I think we all agree that it was a pretty close fight, correct?
Yes, it was. Definitely, for sure.
Yeah. What about you, KJ? What did you think?
I saw a little bit of the fight, and I just thought it wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be, but yeah.
I think that's what happens when you fight a Viktor Postol. He's a very long fighter, long jab, long 1-2, and he's a little awkward. Very typical Eastern European type of fighter. Very good technique. Solid all around. Nothing spectacular. In terms of athleticism or I guess power or speed. But for the most part, a wily vet. I think he's 37 years old, former champion, and he for the most part knows how to fight. He knows how to fight, and he rarely, if ever, looks bad or looks really good. He's always that type of guy that other fighters will always struggle against because he's so well schooled, right?
No, for sure. I think this fight made it more interesting and very fun to watch in terms of both styles of each boxer here. Yeah. You had Ramirez, which was more of an aggressive fighter, compared to Viktor Postol, which he was more of a ring general.
Yeah.
He was using the ring to his advantage, and of course he was using his length, his long jab. And for somebody that's 36, he was moving pretty well.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
I mean, okay.
Yeah,
so
how old is Ramirez?
I think Ramirez is 29, I believe.
Okay.
We're gonna have to double check that. Let's look that up. But anyways, for the most part, we were checking out the fight all together. I had Postol 7-5, although that was just first impression. There was a lot of close rounds. It could have gone either way in a lot of rounds. What about you?
Yeah, so I could have had it a draw. It could have go either way, but Ramirez, his best rounds were at 7 and 8, and he just had a difficult time trying to get to the reach of Viktor Postol. So overall, it could have gone either way. It could have probably even gone to Viktor Postol by points, but again, who knows? I think at this point, you could probably even say the aggressor fighter could have won it, which was Ramirez. Or if you want to judge it as an Olympic-style fight, then you will technically give it to Viktor Postol. But
yeah, like we were saying in the group chat, I had Postol controlling the ring, and Ramirez was controlling the pace. Ramirez was clearly the aggressive fighter, although. Could you say he was effectively aggressive once in a blue? Like
yes.
not as consistent as you would like him to be, especially in that Maurice Hooker fight. Like he applied consistent pressure and he was landing. But it seemed that Viktor Postol's long jab and his 1-2 was really bothering Ramirez. Like he was, I was telling you, remember, like when Ramirez was fighting with his hands up, trying to jab, and it seems like he couldn't see or couldn't find the angles, like he was a little too tight. And then when he started being a little bit more loose with his defense, dropping his lead hand and looking around, he was actually pretty successful in landing some strong shots, including that one. I think he hurt Postol in the 7th, I believe. I can't remember.
Yes, the 7th round is actually when Ramirez started to actually throw with combinations. Yes.
Yeah, that was the most clear round of the whole fight.
Yes, and prior to that, Viktor Postol was just controlling the whole fight with just a jab. After the point past the 7th and 8th, once he felt the pressure actually getting to him, he started to use that 1-2, that clean 1-2. And again, I think this comes down to his veteranship and how good of a IQ he has for his age.
Yeah. You know, I felt like the fight was turning in the middle rounds when I had Ramirez winning 3 straight rounds, and I'm like, okay, so this is where Ramirez is gonna like start taking over the fight. And then it seemed like it didn't happen. It seemed like he was regressing to the early rounds where Postol was just keeping him at bay with the strong jab, nice 1-2, and kind of like, you know, kind of working Ramirez, you know, as he was going back, because Postol, you know, he tends to fight backwards. He's not so much as like an aggressive forward type of fighter. He's typically only known for his 1-2. Yeah. Although he was mixing in, maybe not as effectively as one would like, but mixing in a nice like uppercut, like left uppercut to keep, I guess whenever Ramirez got in too close, he just threw the uppercut to keep Ramirez reminded, hey, you know, I can throw this too.
No, for sure. And I think we're all to say, and we could all agree that if this fight would have been mostly in the middle and Ramirez had a better fight in the middle stance, it would have been more effective towards his side. But, Viktor Postol was much smarter in that sense.
Yeah. It was a majority decision, okay? So we had one judge had it a draw, 114, which I think is probably the fairest score most people would have saw. But I had it 7-5 Postol, but like barely, like just barely. There was like 3. I mean, like I would say like 4 rounds that I scored for Postol were just like barely he won the round. And I think it was like those also, I think the 11th or 10th round where I felt Ramirez was clearly winning that round until the last 15 seconds where just Postol started just, you know, hit him hard with a 1-2 and then just like, you know, jabbed him. And then I think he hit him with a power hook somewhere along the lines in those last 15 seconds. And then that's made me think like, oh man, dude, I had it Ramirez for sure. But now I don't know whether to give it to Postol, you know, because it didn't look like Ramirez was dominating that round, but he was winning that fight up until those last 15 seconds.
And you know what, man? Everything you just said now, as a boxing fan, this is what makes these sort of fights of different boxing styles that much fun to watch. Because you may think somebody has a round for 2 minutes already packed down. Up until the last 30 seconds of the fight, it's like, wait, like, what's going on? He's starting to lose. So I think for casual fans, for sure,
this would be, if we showed this fight to casual fans, it would be hard to explain to them how scoring is judged. Like, you know, that this would be one of those like KJ, you know, you're, you know, you are a newcomer to, you know, watch, you know, boxing and all that stuff. Would you agree that this would be like a hard fight to say who won and who lost, and then how to have someone explain to you why someone won or lost a particular fight, this particular fight?
I mean, with this particular decision, I mean, I didn't watch the full fight. I only saw parts of it. Like I was telling Raul before, I felt like it was kind of like a boring fight. Maybe that's why it was a hard decision to make. But it looked from a quote that Ramirez states here, it looked like he was kind of like talking crap a little bit. He said, quoted, I felt like I was in a sparring session. I think I could have made the fight a lot easier in my favor, but we live and we learn. This is an amazing experience. I'm just happy I got the win.
Yeah, I mean,
so it looks like he thinks he won. You know?
It's funny because these guys have sparred in the past before. Ramirez was trained by Freddie Roach, and he said in many interviews that he has no problem beating him because he has been in the ring. And Viktor Postol, for his perspective, he definitely respected him as a fighter after those sparring sessions at Wildcard Boxing Gym.
I mean, from his face, like for certain points from the fight, I'm sorry. You could tell Ramirez's face was red and like he looked like he was getting, you know,
he
shots.
was getting tagged for sure.
Yeah, he was getting tagged, exactly.
He was getting tagged, but
look at his face right here.
The strongest fights, I mean, the strongest punches were landed by Ramirez.
Yeah,
clearly.
Sure.
But the most consistent shots were Postol, I would say.
So you had Postol?
I had Postol 7-5, but I wouldn't mind if someone had a 7-5 Ramirez or a draw. You know?
This was a toss up for sure, guys.
But there was one scorecard that was like 116, 112 for Ramirez.
Yeah,
and I was like, no,
we texted each other about that. Yeah, that's for sure.
Not even close.
What did you have it, Raul? Who did you have taking it?
Honestly, KJ, this was a toss up, man. It could have been a tie, and I would have been happy with it. If Viktor Postol would have won him, I would have been happy. Obviously, of course, Ramirez won, and I'm happy with it.
Oh, so it wasn't like a surprise.
It was just a very competitive fight. If we get a second round, maybe you'll see different styles change a little bit. Maybe a different game plan with Ramirez, but of course, no. But just giving you guys an example. Hopefully, down the road, we get Taylor and Ramirez.
Yeah, so that now Josh Taylor and Ramirez have a common opponent, Viktor Postol.
Correct.
Ramirez didn't look great, although his previous victory against Maurice Hooker was more impressive than anything.
Super.
It was more impressive. And then Josh Taylor fought Postol, had some trouble with Postol as well, but eventually, turned the tide, knocked down Postol, and eventually, put it on Postol. And then Josh Taylor looked great against Regis Prograis, which, at the time, Regis Prograis, people were considering probably, maybe if not number one in terms of resume, the number 140 fighter in terms of talent.
Yep.
And then Josh Taylor beat him, So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Now we're going to have Ramirez Taylor for the undisputed welterweight title. Junior welterweight title. Which is funny because they're going to be fighting for the undisputed title. There's only been 4 undisputed champions in the 4-belt history. And Crawford did it 2 years ago or a couple years ago. So, we're going to have another 140 undisputed champion within less than 5 years, which is actually pretty amazing.
Yes, and if Ramirez were to fight Josh Taylor and win and be the undisputed champion at 140, that will make him the first Spanish fighter
undisputed,
correct.
And then on top of it, I think it also happened again when Hopkins combined all the titles in the mid-2000s.
That's
and then
right.
Jermaine Taylor, they fought for all 4 titles. Jermaine Taylor beat Bernard Hopkins, and he became the undisputed champion. So, actually, the next fight I wanted to get him to, we actually posted on our Instagram. It was the Alexander Povetkin versus Dillian Whyte fight. I think clearly the favorite was Dillian Whyte going into the fight. He lost to Anthony Joshua. We talked about it in the previous podcast. Povetkin was, he got knocked down twice. I think the round before. And Dillian Whyte was looking pretty good. And then, man, what an uppercut. Holy shit.
He got knocked the fuck out.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yes.
Cage is
watching it as we speak.
KJ just had a mini orgasm just now. He's like,
And you know what? This is a universal language. If you get knocked out, doesn't matter where you're from, what language you speak, you get knocked the fuck out.
You got knocked the fuck out.
That's true.
Let's break down this knockout now that he has it.
Povetkin,
he did like a little left step in the inside of Dillian Whyte.
Yeah.
Dillian Whyte, his guard was a little too high, which he was getting tagged. But Povetkin, he just kind of slid the uppercut.
Yeah, what he did was he tapped the jab, right? He brought Whyte's guard. He tapped the jab, slipped into Whyte's right hand. But I think the positioning, they were so close, and Whyte wasn't really trying to throw the right hand. So I think he tapped the jab, slipped to Dillian's right, and just went with the uppercut.
He slid in the uppercut, yes.
Yeah, and actually, it's actually a pretty nice combination. When I train people, I usually go tap to jab, slip, hook, which is something that you see often. But he tapped the jab, slip, uppercut.
Ooh,
yeah.
Yeah. He said, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Boom. It's actually...
It was beautiful. Man.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody's into boxing, it's actually a pretty nice combination to try. Tap with the jab, slip, uppercut or hook, power hook, and the way he landed, it was just like textbook. It was really textbook the way he landed it.
Right on the money.
Yeah, my brother's watching again. How many times have you seen that already, KJ? Boop.
It's like my 100th time.
It looked like Dillian Whyte was like, I'm going to go to bed. Right? As soon as he got hit, he's like, I'm going to go to sleep.
Yeah, man.
And just watching it doesn't look that bad, but
it looked bad.
The way he drops is what makes you realize, wow.
He was out before he hit the floor.
And as you could imagine, his arrival back to his motherland, which is Russia, they treated him
like a king.
The moment he stepped out that airplane, he had a whole bunch of people with
him.
Because
you're gonna argue Alexander Povetkin is about 10 years past his prime. You could argue maybe like 8 years past his prime. I think he's fought Joshua. He's fought Klitschko. He's fought pretty much any heavyweight that's been out there for the past like 12, 15 years. So I mean, he's a veteran. At the end, especially in the heavyweight division, everyone has power. No one has, even people with no power in the heavyweight division can knock people out. So I mean, that's just heavyweight boxing for you, right?
Shout out to these veteran boxers this weekend.
Yeah, man.
And last weekend.
We just gonna go cover a couple more fights, just real quick. We saw Shawn Porter versus Sebastian Formella. I don't even want to get into it because it was just a fight to give Porter work, and he just basically dominated. It was a whitewash.
He looked great.
Yeah, he looked really good, considering that he was fighting a nobody. And Porter always comes into shape no matter what.
Yeah.
But considering he's fighting a nobody, he came in excellent shape.
I will have to say one of the biggest details that I did see from Shawn Porter is, of course, typical him, he rushes in with his left hook.
Yeah.
And then he starts off a crazy combination.
Yeah.
But he used more of his jab this fight around.
Mm-hmm.
I think he definitely used this fight as an experimental.
Yeah.
He started to put more tools into his
He didn't
toolbox.
respect Formella's power, so he just wanted to try his different combinations and just working, a certain type of pace, And we all know Shawn Porter always, he pedaled to the metal. He can fight all night. He's that guy.
I call him Mighty Mouse ever since I saw him because he's always on the gas pedal. Yeah. But real quick, credit to Formella's chin because he was getting rocked the whole night with hooks. Hooks to the body, combos, and anybody that's seen Shawn Porter in the past, he's knocked out a couple of people.
He has brute strength. He doesn't have super punching power, but he has brute strength.
Yes, but if I was in his shoes, I would have been out past the 3 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, watching that fight, I feel like right after the second round, Porter kind of found out to himself. He's like, I got this guy. It's over. And
he just didn't respect his power. Yeah, he didn't respect. But again, props to Formella because I saw the highlights before I saw the fight. And I was just like, so he got knocked out. I'm assuming he probably got knocked out in the 4th round or something. And then at the end of the highlights, it said, they were announcing a decision. I'm like, this was a decision from the highlights. I saw he was getting his ass whooped.
Credit to Formella's chin, man.
Exactly.
he was taking a beating.
The next fight we wanted to cover, Tim Tszyu, the son of 140-pound legend Kostya Tszyu, fought Jeff Horn in all Australia match. I just wanted to cover it real quick. I saw the fight. Tim Tszyu, he basically just outboxed, dominated Jeff Horn, and I think at this point Horn, his Cinderella story, kind of like his 15 minutes just faded. He got dominated by Sean Crawford. Although he did have a good win against Anthony Mundine in another All Australia fight after the Pacquiao. I'm gonna air quotes Pacquiao win. quote unquote, but Jeff Horn is a very limited fighter. He's a big guy who likes to use his body, but also rushes in. Rushes in very wildly. And Tim Tszyu, I guess he took a lot of lessons from the Crawford fight and just basically dominated, outboxed him. And it's so crazy, honestly. Tim Tszyu, he fights so much like his dad.
His pops.
Very patient. Lead hand is always out. He puts the lead hand as a rangefinder, but more he just taps, and he takes his time. If you remember Kostya Tszyu, he was very a patient fighter, waiting for the right hand, and he would just work you with the right hand, but he would always keep you at bay, time you, and kind of lull you into sleep with his lead hand.
Those are the best fighters, man. Having that patience.
Yeah,
to stand in there.
I'm telling, bro, if you watch the highlights, he looks so much like his dad. Like his body. He's a bigger version of his dad because his dad was at 140. This fight was at, I think, 154, I believe. It was at junior middleweight. And oh man, look, if you watch him, he looks so much like his dad. It's
The
crazy.
apple didn't fall too far from the tree.
No.
Nice.
He looks like a potential star. I like Tim Tszyu. He has a great personality. You know, Australian people are always super fun and super chill.
One of the nicest people you could ever chill with.
Yeah, and you know, I have nothing against Jeff Horn, but you know,
I do.
I think a lot of Filipinos have something against Jeff Horn.
Yeah, you know, he fought really dirty against Pacquiao, but I mean, hey, you know, he had a decent, you know, Cinderella run.
Yeah.
It's over. Do I think we need to see him fight anymore? Not really, unless he wants to make some money.
Not in the States.
No. But Tim Tszyu looks like the real deal.
Yeah,
you know?
nice. Well, hey, that's a good start to his resume.
Yeah,
Jeff Horn.
Yeah,
good name.
We also had the Erislandy Lara versus Vendetti. I don't even know his first name. All you need to know is Lara dominated. And that's about. There's no even need to cover it. He just dominated the fight. Yeah, typical Lara fight. However, I will say Lara's getting older, and I think since that what was that fight again? Who did he fight again?
Well, besides Canelo,
Jeff Hurd.
yes.
I mean, not Jeff Hurd. I'm sorry. Jared Hurd.
Jared Hurd.
When he fought Jared Hurd, I think Jared Hurd took a little something out of him in that fight, and now Lara seems to be a little bit more stationary, not as a runner as he normally does. He tends to sit now a little bit. I mean, he still fights the same, but he just doesn't move as much. I don't think his legs are there anymore as much as they used to be. So it's a little bit more fun watching him now. But you know, Lara, typical Cuban fighter. You know, mostly about just points type of fighting. We don't even have to get into anymore. Next one, we're gonna go the Vladimir Hernandez versus Alfredo Angulo fight.
Oh wow!
Angulo was supposed to fight Caleb Truax, and Truax about 5 days pulled out of the fight, cited an injury or sickness, I believe, and they brought in Vladimir Hernandez to fight in his place. They broke the junior middleweight record of record punches. I think they threw over 2,000 punches. Each man threw over 1,000 punches. Went 12 rounds, and end of the line for Angulo, definitely. You know, he lost the fight. Hernandez beat him. Angulo was actually one of those fighters that HBO was promoting around 2008, 2009. He's the up and coming generation. And then he had that fight against James Kirkland.
Yes, in Cancun.
And he was whooping his ass.
Yes, one of the best rounds, by the way.
Oh, the first round.
Yes.
He knocks him down twice. He knocks down Kirkland twice. And then Kirkland comes back and knocks him down.
Yes.
And I think what happened is Angulo shot his load in that first round and never recovered.
Yeah,
he was
that's
just tired
right.
after that.
Man, wow. I remember.
Pause.
I remember watching that fight with my pops, and me and him were like, oh man, Angulo, this fucking guy is crazy.
And then you saw when he got tired.
Yes, he gassed out. That's his problem. And surprisingly, with this fight that he fought, he gassed out, but
Angulo is a typical Mexican fighter.
Yes.
He can take a fucking punch and he can fight all day.
And to my dad's quote, Angulo que se cae en su culo. he always says it. That. Yes, but this a matter of fact, this weekend Angulo's fight, me and my pop sat down and we watched that fight, and man, they went at it.
Yeah, it's you know what the thing is, Angulo, he was never, even in his prime, he was never a fast fighter. No. But man, he looks so slow now. His hand speed is so slow, which makes me in retrospect now when he fought Peter Quillen and beat him, it's actually really surprising that he actually beat Peter Quillen, because Peter Quillen is relatively,
more of a skill boxer. Yeah. He's not gonna stand too much in the pocket.
But also, that Jacobs fight, the Quillen when he fought Jacobs, I think he took Jacobs took something out of Quillen and Quillen never got it back.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened. But,
that was a quick fight too, right?
First round knockout.
Yeah.
Quick fight. I think, and he never recovered. But, hey, shout out to Vladimir Hernandez, stepping in on very, very short notice, and, beating a somewhat name in Alfredo Angulo. So, hopefully we'll see him down the road. Hey, he threw 1,200 punches. So, hey, shout out to anybody who can throw over 1,000 punches in 12 rounds.
Typical Mexican fight,
Gotta love when a Mexican fights a Mexican, because shit's gonna go down.
Pop open the Coronas, because it's gonna be a good fight.
Yeah. Nice. And then Sergio Martinez, hey, he came out of retirement. Came out of a 6 or 7 year retirement. He fought Jose Fandino in Spain. I don't think there's much to be covered. I don't think he's trying to get back into the championship picture. He beat him in 7th round knockout.
Did he look good? Did he look impressive? Did he?
He looked.
Did he wow?
For a 6-year retirement, he looked good. Okay, but good. You also got to understand he was fighting a nobody, and it was, you're gonna look good against somebody who's not great.
At this point, El Maravilla Martinez, he could just take on another veteran.
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He's 40 something, I believe.
Oh wow.
Yeah. If he wants to set up a exhibition match with his former opponent's dad, Chavez Sr., then fuck it, do it. But it's not gonna matter.
I would rather watch Chavez Sr. fight at this age, literally smoking, right after smoking and drinking, than to see his son fight.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. It's amazing how much Mexicans love Chavez Sr. and how much Mexicans hate Chavez Jr.
Yeah, you know what it is? He's
a spoiled, because he was raised rich, so he's like a spoiled Mexican. And
a lot of people has questioned Junior's heart.
He has no heart. He has no heart.
Yeah, they question his heart, which, again, to some extent, getting inside a ring, let alone, it takes a lot. You got to have some sort of bravery. But to as a Mexican, to just quit or just not have enough in you to continue, it's a different thing.
Yeah. How old is Chavez Jr. now?
You know what? How about this? Who gives a shit? It's just very disappointing because he's a very big fighter, and if he actually worked on his craft, he could have been a pretty decent champion.
Yeah, they hyped him up way too much.
But fuck that guy anyway. So, Katie Taylor versus Delphine Persoon was a rematch. Yeah. Really good fight. I saw the highlights. I didn't see the full fight, but women's boxing is really on a come up. We had we were talking about in the last episode Jessica McCaskill, who was my goat of the week for the previous episode. She beat arguably the pound for one of the candidates for pound for pound greatest women fighter of all time in Cecilia Brækhus. That was a great fight. It was a good fight, not great. It was a good fight. And then you had Katie Taylor versus Delphine Persoon. My brother's leaving while we're recording.
He needed to take a sip of the
thought juice.
The thought juice.
Yeah, because
I needed some of the energy drink.
Actually, but boys, wouldn't this be a perfect time to crack open some Coronas?
Oh man, I've been waiting for you to say that this whole time.
Nah, you want really want? Do you want?
Let's cheers, guys, for the listeners and for us.
I mean, I'm with it.
All right, fuck it. Let's go get some beers. Let's hurry up. Come on. Let's go get the beers. Come on, fuck it. Let's go do it.
I mean, I could wait. It's not a big deal.
Bitch, go get some beers.
You go get it.
God damn it. We're going to have to edit this. Fuck.
Oh.
Do you want to go get some beers or not? Come on, let's finish it.
Let's finish.
Yeah, I was just thirsty, bro, to be honest.
But anyway, Katie Taylor versus Delphine Persoon. Rematch of last year's fight. It was a good fight, good scrap. Some people had it Persoon winning, some people had Katie Taylor winning. Also, I won't say very similar to the Postol Ramirez fight, but it's just one of those fights that it just depends on your point of view and how much importance you put on certain aspects of boxing, generalship, offense, pressure. Pace, blah blah blah. It's very subject. It's a very subjective interpretation of how to grade a round, right? So it was a great fight. Katie Taylor won. She's on to bigger and better things. And we'll see how it goes with her career.
Was it pay-per-view? Like what channel?
It was the undercard.
It was one of the undercards on the Povetkin
White fight. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Katie Taylor is one of the names out there that's making a name for herself. Very popular in Europe, and we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see some of her.
Yeah.
That same week, we also had the Joe Smith Jr. versus Eleider Alvarez fight, which I think most people had it leaning a little bit towards Alvarez, former champion. Beat Kovalev, knocked out Kovalev in the first fight against Joe Smith, who claimed to fame knocking out Bernard Hopkins out of the ring and retiring him. He fought a couple of names, lost. I think did he fight Chavez Jr.? I can't remember. But in that light heavyweight picture, he fought a lot of names since that Bernard Hopkins fight. So, they had the fight. Alvarez, former champion. Joe Smith Jr., construction boy from Long Island.
Yes, that's right.
Still worked construction.
Hustler, man.
Yeah, he hustles, and Joe Smith Jr. actually was, I won't say dominating the fight, but definitely winning that fight, and then knocks out Alvarez with that beautiful right hand.
Similar style to how he knocked out Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah. I think Joe Smith Jr. is always going to be that one guy. I'm not going to say he's a gatekeeper, but he's above that, just below a champion's level. Maybe he could possibly win a championship. He has very good power. If he gets a shot at one of the light heavyweights champions, I think he could win one of those fights just on his power alone. Would I favor him in any of those fights? No, not at all.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I honestly didn't favor him coming into this fight, but he proved me wrong, and he's definitely, like you mentioned, above of
he works. He always has a constant work rate, good power, pressure. And he has a chin. So hopefully more good things can happen for Joe Smith Jr. Later, Alvarez, he had a shot against Kovalev, knocked him out the first time, lost convincingly in the rematch. He can come back from this. And the light heavyweight picture, it's open. There's it'll be fun to watch. No any big names, but it's gonna be a fun division to watch for the next couple of years.
For sure.
Now switching gears, I wanted to go into the boycott of NBA playoff games that NBA players came together and decided after the unfortunate police shooting in Wisconsin, in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It was actually pretty inspiring to see the NBA players, come together and make a statement.
Make a statement. Exactly.
What was your opinion on that?
No, you know what? At this point, enough is enough. Getting more into the statement factor in this, it was perfect. If they could have gone maybe another day boycotting it, hey, fuck it, why not?
Yeah.
It's very good to see that brotherhood and see that sisterhood in other sports coming together.
WNBA actually took the lead on the boycott.
It's coming together and banding together, and not just of athletes, as human beings, and just making that statement heard. And it was heard. Everybody heard about it, new outlet, social media, and fully support what they did, and great for them.
I think from my personal point of view, I'm pro police, but I'm also pro Black Lives Matter. And I'm not one of those people that's either gonna have to you have to pick a side, because I think that's stupid. We need police, and we also recognize, there's a serious systemic, a serious issue with systemic racism, especially within, police departments. In general, whenever these situations happen, we all have to kind of like sit down, relax, and kind of try to see it from an objective point of view. At the end of the day, if you're a police officer and you have multiple police and you cannot handle a one man without having the use of deadly force, then you shouldn't be a police officer. Don't get me wrong. Hey, maybe he was afraid. There's always the thing, I was fearing for my life. Okay, I get it. But the guy, again, and people were saying, oh, you don't know if he was reaching for a gun, or they said that he had a knife in his car, that you don't know if he was reaching for a knife. Okay, so how about you prevent him from going in the car by, holding him down? Unfortunately, hey, that would have been maybe a different situation, but at least a man would have still had his life, He wouldn't have been gunned down in front of his children. And we can argue about his character. We can argue about any previous crimes that he committed. At the end of the day, the sentence of death should not be carried out for little things like this, especially with the rumors of how this all came about, that situation. There's no need for for you to have to use deadly force, shoot someone in the back in front of their family, And then, you know, what did you expect? And at the end of the day, I think as someone who respects police officers and supports police officers to a certain extent, you have to recognize also there are just some people that should not be police officers. There's some people who just get into the police force just because they want a pension. They want a pension and they want benefits. And we all do that to a certain extent. Any union jobs we do, and the police is no different. A lot of people join for specific benefits, but you also have to recognize you also have a responsibility to the community. And I feel for cops who genuinely try to make the best decisions as much as possible. You're not perfect. No one is perfect. You want to be there to protect the community, and I support those cops who try to do the right thing at all times. But cops shouldn't be given immunity to do whatever they want. If they have to enforce the law on us, then they themselves should also enforce the law within themselves. I'm sorry.
No. Well, I think this is a perfect scenario to say lead by example.
Yeah, definitely. I think that sometimes, and then on top of that, cops who do speak out on misconduct, instead of being applauded for, hey, you know what, good job, you saw something that wasn't right, and thank you for pointing it out, they get punished when they bring up issues like that. And I mean, if you believe in the law, do you put the law above the brotherhood? If you're here to enforce the law, do you, as a police officer, you have to ask yourself, do I put the law above the brotherhood or the brotherhood above the law? I think, that's, as a police officer, you have to always have the law above the brotherhood. Because when one of your own does something wrong, I mean, maybe something minor wrong that you can handle, okay, fine. But if it is something incredibly serious, like during the 70s, we had incredible police corruption with drugs and money. That's not right. And you have to follow the law at the end of the day. And like I said, I support police officers. I support good police who do the right thing, who try to do the right thing. And I don't expect anyone to be perfect or anything like that. But, when you watch the video, you're just like, at this point, we're also like, oh, okay, that happened again. Happened again.
I was actually going to get there that we're starting to see almost like a pattern.
I think it's more noticeable now because of social media and the technology is being more widely available for people to record. I mean, listen, I've dealt with racism with cops. We spoke on our podcast before about the time when we got pulled over with you. My brother has dealt with racism with racist cops as well.
Yeah, but you know what?
Sad.
Once you see a pattern, that's how you know shit is getting bad. Where enough is enough, man. The injustice of these events currently going on and just consistently going on. Yeah. There's an issue, and this is why a lot of society is actually taking a stand, because it's just so much you could intake into the point where you're tired and frustrated. You know what? We got to do something about it, and I'm fully supportive of that. And
Well, at the end of the day, I believe in police reform. I think the police are here to do a job and to protect us, absolutely. But I think that we also have to hold bad cops accountable, and we also have to create a system where that we build trust with communities and the police, like it used to be, like back in the 80s, like back in my dad's time, they had police leagues and all that stuff, and community outreach. And where's that now? It's barely there. It's barely there because all that stuff is already defunded. But we commend the NBA players, exercising their first right, the First Amendment right.
It's good to see when people of their magnitude are using their platform, not for their advantage, but for a greater cause.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways, now
on a lighter note,
NBA playoffs.
NBA players are back.
Let's go.
So so KJ, what's the rundown?
All right, so we're gonna start off with my beloved Lakers. Beating the Trailblazers 4-1. LeBron earning a triple double.
I forgot, guys. Just also as a reminder, anytime my brother talks about LeBron, my brother is a LeBron lover. So, anyways, go ahead.
Whatever. Yeah, LeBron. Also, Anthony Davis being a huge part of that impressive win, impressive series. I applaud the Lakers, man, and I can't wait for them to either play the Utah Jazz or the Denver Nuggets, who will be playing Game 7 as well. Denver Nuggets and the Utah Jazz. I apologize. Yep. And who else we got? Oh, we got the Thunder and the Rockets. The Thunder tying.
Shout out to CP3.
That shit guy right there. Yeah, tying the series 3-up for Game 7 to be happening tomorrow. And then who else we got? We got the Celtics versus the Raptors. Who are playing today.
Game 2 is tonight. Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. Great series. I mean, the Celtics dominated the first game. I remember.
Yeah, it was a great game.
Yeah. But I mean, so now other than the Utah, Utah, Denver, and
remember we got the Clippers and the Mavericks. Clippers taking over the series, beating the Mavericks. Luka couldn't do it by himself. Yeah. Disappointing with Kristaps Porzingis missing the first round.
They gave him a run for their money.
That was a great series. That was a great series. And apart from that, a lot of beef going on in that series too. A lot of scrapples.
Luka and Morris.
Yes, and this is now, I think it's very often that we're hearing that the Clippers are becoming that new age of the bad boys in a way where they're gruddy. They're in a way they're tough. Yeah. They don't take anybody lightly. They're gonna get in your face, which I'm liking this team.
I will say though, the Dallas showed that the Clippers do have weaknesses though, so that's gonna be interesting in the next round of the playoffs. But
definitely,
as long as nobody goes to what was the strip club called?
Magic City.
Magic City.
All right. Also another series that just started, the round 2, the East semifinals. We had the Heat versus the Bucks, which they played yesterday.
Jimmy Buckets
scoring 40 points. Playing very watching him play very impressively. Yeah. And just the whole squad in general.
That's
I'm a fan of the Heat.
What's the funny thing? Giannis on the eve of winning Defensive Player of the Year, plays in Game 1, right? Jimmy Buckets, puts it on him, and they don't put Giannis on Jimmy Buckets. And after the game, they were like, they were asking Giannis like, hey, did you, you weren't on Jimmy Butler, like, did you want to? He's like, no, like, okay, and why didn't you? They're like, oh, I just do what my coach tells me. Which in one respect is okay, understandable, but in the other respect, which Isaiah Thomas pointed out on Twitter, he was like, if you're the Defensive Player of the Year, you want that assignment. I'm gonna stop him.
Yeah, you guard the best player on the opposing team.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, I love Giannis. I do think though that hey, if you are such an alpha male, when he on offense, he's such an alpha male, and just an alpha male in general. On defense too, which he is an alpha male. But hey, if I'm if I'm playing defense and I'm the star, I'd be like, nah, I got Jimmy Buckets. Yeah. Let me get Jimmy Buckets. Because we ain't losing. I got him.
Yeah.
Jordan and Pippen will always be. They both knew that they were elite defenders. So they'd be like, one of us is taking them. We're gonna take them out of the game, right?
Yeah. I think in this scenario you could say, what will Kobe do? Mamba mentality,
Mamba mentality.
Kobe would have been like, all right, yo, Kobe, we're gonna have you put over either Kobe would have been like, nah, I'm gonna take Jimmy Buckets.
That's one thing that you have to respect about Kobe. Defensively, he was great. He had that determination on the defensive side of the ball to make plays all the time.
Anybody who has played basketball knows the key to great defense is the want to.
True. I like that.
Excellent defensive players are the ones who want to. They in their mind, they're like, you're not getting past me. Or you're not scoring. On offense, it's obviously want to, but it's also it's more talent than want to. But on defense, anybody can be a good defensive player if they wanted to. And then you add that with just inherent talent, and you can be a dominant defensive player. So it is what it is. But Giannis, let's see how Giannis comes out. Maybe he changes.
It was only game one, so relax.
They lost game one against Orlando, so they seem to have issues on usually with game ones. But hey,
how do you guys see this going for that series?
That's what I was just about to ask. Who do you got, Raul? Who you taking?
You know what? I like Miami. Not because everybody around me seems to be rooting for them, but Jimmy Butler, I've always been a fan of him.
You gotta be. I like fan.
Jimmy Butler.
He's just like.
I'm pretty sure he's also a dick. Well, not like a dick as a person, but like a dick on the basketball court.
You know what?
Okay, I feel that.
Anybody that wants to reach greatness kind of has to have that
like
mentality. That
Mamba
tunnel
mentality.
exactly. That tunnel vision. Like, you know what? No distractions. Shut the fuck up and let me win this game.
Yeah. Let me get that.
Let me get this W.
So hey man, I think Milwaukee takes it in 7. I'm not gonna explain why. I just have a feel. That's my feeling. Milwaukee in 7.
I mean,
it's gonna be a great series.
They have all the pressure to get to that stage and get to the finals. So who knows?
Yeah, I'm taking Miami on that one.
Yeah. And then, now we have 2 Game 7s still in the first round. We have Game 2 matchups coming in. We had the Lakers winning Game 1 against their series against who they playing again?
The Lakers, no, they haven't been matched up yet.
Yet. I'm so sorry about that.
The Rockets and the Thunder. That's gonna be a great game to watch. Who do you guys have on that game? Rockets versus
CP3.
OKC.
Hey, all I gotta say to Houston is just keep on putting the ball in Russell Westbrook's hands.
So
please do it. As a CP3 fan, please keep on putting the ball.
You know what, guys? It just goes to showing body language. It looks like the Rockets, just judging off their body language, they seem a little defeated already.
They always are that way. Because look at James Harden. Like, that's another guy, super talented, but when the going gets tough, the want to kind of disappears. You've seen him choke. I've never seen someone so talented choke so many times in the playoffs. And the worst one I remember was that one where he went like 4 for 11 in one game, and then remember against San Antonio, I remember when he got blocked from behind by Manu Ginobili, which I still loved. That was one of my favorite moments.
Manu was a legend, so you got to
was a legend.
Yeah,
he was. And James Harden's that type of guy. When the going gets tough, he just goes like, no, whatever.
I don't like that.
He brushes his beard off.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, look, let's keep it at It's gonna be a great Game 7 to watch. Put money on, maybe.
Yeah. My question is, what happens when James Harden loses his athleticism? Like, he's not the most athletic guy, but he can shoot his lights out. But what happens when those legs start going? Like, how? And then you take out the want, that kind of lack of like killer instinct. Like, how effective is he gonna be in his 30s? You don't know. We don't know, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see how it goes. Anyways, hey, I also wanted to also cover quickly. Hey, any video game fans? Madden dropped last week, and it has been reviewed bombed. Worst user rating Metacritic score of all time for video games. Lowest rated critical score of any Madden that's come out, and so much so, upsetting so many players that the hashtag NFL drop EA started trending, and a lot of people seem to have got on the bandwagon. Basically shitting on EA Sports for being such a greedy company. So some backstory. In the mid 2000s, Madden was the king. NFL 2K came out. It came out cheaper. The last NFL 2K official NFL 2K to come out was NFL 2K5. Came out for $20 at the time that Madden was selling for $50. It shocked EA so much that EA for Madden 2005, which was also a great Madden in itself, it had to introduce the hit stick for the first time with Ray Lewis on the cover. They dropped the price down to $30, and basically as a reaction, and then slowly, and then worked with the NFL to acquire the exclusive license to produce the only NFL video game. I think for the most part, it was very fruitful for both companies. EA took advantage of it, made a pretty decent games and all that, but over the past 5 years, from I think when it switched over to Madden 17, I mean the PS, like the we're at the end of this current generation of Xbox One and PS the PS4, right? So ever since it came out, it used the Frostbite engine, which is the game engine to develop the game, which was made for first-person shooters. They used the same engine for Madden, which people have been complaining for the past couple of years. And people have been arguing that, listen, EA, all they do, it's a glorified roster update. That's all they do. They sell a game for $60 as a glorified roster update. They're very lazy with now, like, improving the game. And so much so that people have been posting online videos of just, like, really random, crazy things happening in the game, like glitches, bugs. And then on top of that, just a matter of laziness, if you look in the game during practice mode or like in the stadium, it still says Madden 19.
Wow.
And we're in Madden 21 now. So it still says Madden
lazy.
19 posted within the game world when you play. There's still a lot of Madden 19 tags in there. Like logos of Madden 19, like during practice mode and all that stuff. And so a lot of YouTubers and Twitter, Twitter handlers who are very popular within the community. They've been the two of the most popular YouTubers that are critical of the Madden franchise is Soft Drink Sports TV and Ryan Moody. They both have been critical over the years of Madden for being just lazy and no attention to detail and just not. And the football logic just doesn't make sense in the game anymore. You can't throw fade routes in Madden, which is insane that you can't throw a fade route. Like the Plaxico Burress game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. You can't do that type of play effectively in Madden. So basically, it got a lot of popularity. EA Sports is getting a lot of shit, and this past year they renewed their exclusive license agreement to 2026 for football simulation games, which opens the door for any arcade style NFL games for other companies to join in, which people have been anticipating, even though that EA still has exclusive license. So basically, the Madden community is fed up with EA Sports' bullshit. And I'm happy because I haven't played Madden since, honestly, maybe Madden 2011 for the PlayStation 3. KJ remembers when I was younger for the PlayStation 2. I was
I think by far the best Madden was PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2,
just the control and the fluidity.
Yeah,
fluidity. I think is the word.
You remember the mini games, the mini camp.
I was just about to get to that. I don't even know. Like, they don't have anything of that even in the previous Madden.
No, the
Madden
franchise
20.
mode. Remember, you had the newspaper. When you broke records, the newspaper would show. They had the Tony Bruno show where they had the radio.
Yes.
And then they had like you can like look up stats. They had like these awards they would give out.
It's like lazy. Like, you're right. Like, they're being lazy.
It's so lazy
with
that
the detail.
You can't even the stats in Madden. They don't even show the teams that the players played for, and the players in the game will retire, and you don't know. They won't tell you that they retire, and then when they do retire, the year after, when they start in a new year, the player basically disappears from the game. Like, you can't look up stats anymore. You can't, and it's just that little minute laziness to attention to detail that's really been plaguing EA Sports, because they know that, hey, we can just be lazy because there's no other NFL game, so you're gonna have to just buy this, and they could just make it a piece of shit, So I'm just happy that this has gotten traction. As a former Madden lover, I'm PS2 era. I was in high school and college during the PS2 era. Madden came out, and I really loved it. And then I just stopped playing around PlayStation 3, which it was still pretty decent on the PlayStation 3. But since the PlayStation 4 dropped, it's been awful. So you know what? Shout out to trending that hashtag. Remember, NFL drop EA. That's the hashtag. If you want to check it out,
NFL drop EA.
Yeah, go check it out on Twitter and check it out on YouTube. Again, also want to shout out the YouTubers who made that hashtag popular. Ryan Moody and Soft Drink Sports TV. Check them out on YouTube as well.
If I could add to this last few details of EA, for what I'm hearing, I'm very surprised, because for the most part, they're also the company that do these
That's
FIFA games
yeah.
every year. And FIFA, for the most part, they've been very creative of adding new modes, new little things each year.
Some people have complained about FIFA, but not like they're nowhere near like the anger, the vitriol of that Madden has produced.
So I guess what I'm trying to say here now is I wish they would have put more detail, more effort to Madden, as they did and they are gonna do with this new FIFA.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully. Remember, but also FIFA got good because Winning 11 was their competitor. Madden doesn't have a competitor anymore. FIFA got good because of Winning 11, and then Winning 11 kind of dwindled down. I don't know if they're making any more games.
Now it's Evolution.
Soccer.
Evolution, right?
But Winning 11 was actually a better game than FIFA, like for the PS2.
I like FIFA, man.
No, for the PS2 era.
FIFA's classic.
Yeah,
FIFA.
for the
It's fun
PS2
to
era.
play.
And if guys, I don't know, this upcoming PS5, they're launching a new FIFA.
Most likely
with Mbappe in the cover, and all the graphics and everything put aside looks super great.
Hey, guys, hopefully, Madden will improve, and if not, we've been upcoming. Talking about FIFA, by the way, you wanted to get into some soccer, bro.
Yeah, man. So 2 weeks ago, we had the Champions League final against Bayern Munich against PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, and fucking Bayern Munich destroyed the whole tournament. They went out from group stage to playoffs to the final unbeaten.
I don't even follow soccer. All I know is that Bayern Munich is good every year. They're always in the Champions League.
You know what?
Maybe not like great, but they're always solid.
For the past couple of years, they've been behind a Real Madrid, a Liverpool, a Barcelona.
But they're usually the best team in the Bundesliga, right?
And one of the bigger factors that I noticed is those years they've been very consistent in their starting lineup with pretty veteran players for the most part. They've been trying to stick with these veteran soccer players in the past, like Ruben, Ribery, some of these wingers that are, like you said before, some fighters were losing their legs, or some of these basketball players were fading away from their speed. Same we could say about these soccer players. Their legs weren't there no more, and it's a very fast and young game. So now it looks like Bayern Munich, they win a different way of putting up their starting 11. The youth academy are boosting with very up-and-coming soccer players, and it just goes to show they put in a mixture of young players and veterans, and wow, they went unbeaten in this Champions League.
As a non-soccer fan, could you say that they're the anti-Arsenal? Bayern Munich?
Well, that reference maybe would have been
a couple years ago
would have been a little bit more accurate. Yeah. But now Arsenal is actually taking a page out of Bayern Munich, and they're investing in the youth. This generation of soccer is it's evolving into a young man sport now. Yeah. There is veterans, but in order to be a successful veteran, you gotta have your elite performances like Ronaldo, like Lewandowski, like Messi.
Lewandowski. I was just about to ask you, Raul. He quoted that he deserved the Ballon
de Oro.
What is that?
That's basically
MVP of the soccer, but in
Champions
the world.
League?
No, everything.
Really?
Player of the year. That's what it is.
Basically, yeah, pretty much. It's an award given to the more respected, more successful, more earned soccer player of the whole year, like Kyle said. Yeah. He's been very consistent. Huge amount of goals, performances. The list goes on. It's just nice. When you're living in an era with a Messi and a Ronaldo, it's hard to really get these. To get this award compared to these guys. These guys are elite. Respect to Lewandowski, he is an elite player, but the GOAT, it's arguably enough, either Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi. But now getting into Messi, there's
what's about Barcelona?
Yeah, so Barcelona, it's been rumored that Messi wants out. He didn't go to their actual practices. He didn't take any part of any COVID testing anything related to Barcelona.
So he was like that meme with the guy drops the paper. He's like, "Fuck this shit," right?
Yeah, and one trait that I want to say is that his body language, man, he just looked very defeated these last couple of games. Whether it's in the locker room, whether it's surrounded by teammates, you could tell that his love and his passion is not in there.
Yeah.
It's
highly. But how long he's been with Barcelona now?
Since he was a youth,
yeah, since
19, 18. I remember him. Me being at the Red Bull Stadium facing the Red Bulls when he was 2019 at a summer friendly game. Mm-hmm. And this was maybe 10, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now it's highly rumored that he might be joining his former coach, Pep Guardiola, in Man City, which Man City is a very highly rich club now in England in the Premier League. And I personally got to say it will be the best fit for him. And I see him, and you guys will call me on this, I wouldn't be surprised if he would join Man City. And for any soccer fanatic listening to this, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens from this point on.
Okay. Nice. Guys, that's that time.
That time of the week.
That time of the week. Our goats of the week and our Mas Puta list, guys.
What are we doing first?
We're doing Mas Puta.
Okay.
We're always going to start with our Mas Puta list.
Let's do it.
We go from bad to the good.
All right. Yeah. So we're going to start with Raul. Raul, who is your Mas Puta?
Wait, hit that wall again.
Hey. Who's on your Mas Puta list?
The Mas Puta, I previously mentioned related to Arturo Vidal. But now this week, I got to give it to his team, which is Barcelona. Just because it was a shocker that Messi, arguably one of the best soccer players in this world, in this generation, wants to leave Barcelona. We're talking about somebody that's been in the team for 10 plus years, grew up with the team. And for somebody of his magnitude to want to leave, the team will be stupid enough to let him go. Of course, letting him go means gaining a lot of money, but I don't know. That's something that something's going on in the back of the house, the front office, management. But hey, they got to take the L with this Mas Puta of the week. And as a Real Madrid fan, I'm happy. So
all right, cool.
Yeah, I wonder what team he will go to, if you know.
Yeah, but one thing is for sure, whatever team he does go to, you're gonna see everybody rocking his new jersey.
Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of Argentinians gonna invest in those whatever new uniform they have. What about you, kid? Who's on your Mas Puta list?
I gotta give my Mas Puta of the week. I give it to James Harden this week.
Oh God.
Watching a terrible fourth quarter performance in Game 6 against OKC. Just him not having the ball in the last few possessions of the game is kind of like if you're going for Rocket Nation, you're wondering why he doesn't have the ball why he's not part of the offensive game plan at the end of the game. You know what I mean?
When things don't go well for the Rockets in the playoffs, he just looks so disinterested. Like he just looks like, whatever. Okay, fine. Like he's just so like bleh. I mean. Yeah, it's justified. Yeah, I mean, more so it's like, look, man. He's the best offensive player in the league.
He's getting older. Game 7 is a huge game for his, I guess, his status and I guess not premierness. No, that's not the word.
How much of a hit does his reputation take if they lose Game 7 against OKC?
I mean, you guys can answer that yourself. I mean, you know that's a huge disappointment.
It's just it would be another disappointing chapter in his playoff career.
I feel like there's two things that could be said about this. One is what other pieces or what other factor they could bring to Houston to improve, because what I've been seeing every year consistently is they're always giving Harden either players,
3 and D shooters. They always get 3. They surround Harden with 3 and D guys. So guys who can shoot 3-pointers and who can play defense.
Yeah, they had to bring in his former teammate Westbrook.
Well, he's definitely not a 3 and D guy.
Yeah, but my point is what else does it take for this organization to be a success. And the second thing is, people can also argue that the West is very high talented, packed team. So I don't know.
We'll see how it goes. You know, actually, it was gonna lead me into my choice for Mas Puta list. You already said it, Russell Westbrook. He's on my Mas Puta list because, bro. I mean, I get you're injured. I get you haven't really been indoctrinated into the NBA bubble because he entered late. I think he tested positive for coronavirus. He had to wait, blah blah blah. But bro, 7 turnovers and then you dominate the ball on the last possession and you just throw this terrible pass. It's a terrible turnover in crunch time, right? And
he forced it.
The whole game he was forcing it. He had awful passes and he bricked and he shot a long 2-pointer, kept his arm out and he bricked it. It was an air ball. So he's my Mas Puta because Russell Westbrook, as physically talented as he is, he's just and I like him. And I like the fact that he has that burning fire in him for competitiveness, but he, and no disrespect to his intelligence, but he's not, and I'm not saying he's not an intelligent person or anything like that. He's not a smart basketball player in crunch time.
You know what it is too, man? He needs to hear stuff like this to give him that fire.
He'd probably tell me, you go fuck yourself.
Nah, but he better shut up because the thing is, if you're not playing well, people are gonna have stuff to say about it. So don't talk like this is game 7. Now it's your time to step it up or step off.
Word.
Guys,
goats of the week. What up?
Yo,
who is your goats of the week, guys? Let's start off with
I'm
Kate.
gonna go first, right? Let's talk about arguably one of the best NBA players of all time. You could say that.
Raul, do you hear that? Do you hear the sound of KJ deep throating LeBron James again?
Oh
yeah. I'm sorry. So I'm assuming. So who is your goat of the week again?
Got my man, my dog LeBron James. It's gonna go to LeBron James, and I say that
LeBron James.
I say that because after having a few disappointing games, game 1 and game 2, every other game after that, he turned on his his athleticism, his quickness, his size, his passing, his defense, everything came to play, and it showed. And Anthony Davis helped out there as well. So, but my go to the week, LeBron.
Raul, I'm sorry. Who's KJ's favorite NBA player again? I don't.
Yeah.
Who is it?
I wouldn't know.
Number 23.
Jordan?
LeBron. I mean, I'll say this. I think Jordan would have smoked LeBron in either a one-on-one, whatever type of matchup it would be, dealing with basketball. Jordan would kill LeBron.
Well, you know what? That's one thing I'll agree with you with. So that's one thing.
That's realistic.
Raul, who is your GOAT of the week?
Yes, my GOAT of the week has to be a very impressive fighter that he just fought and had one of the greatest knockouts of the night. His name is Elvis Rodriguez.
Dominican cat.
Dominican fighter, fights off of Freddie Roach's camp.
Jackson Marinez.
Dominican.
Jackson Marinez, Dominican fighter that we were talking about in a previous podcast against the Rolly Romero, and now we got this Dominican fighter. Dominicans are starting to make a move up in boxing.
Yeah.
There's always been a couple of Dominicans, but now you see this crop of young Dominican fighters. It's actually pretty impressive. Like you said, he's training under Freddie Roach, right?
Yes. And to quote Freddie Roach, he mentioned before that this is the best prospect in his camp.
Yeah.
Currently, and I believe him. He's had an impressive knockout over his opponent.
That was a
Cody
sweet
Wilson.
Knockout.
Yes,
that was a sweet knockout.
It was like he was playing around with him.
Yeah, I was watching the slow motion. Like you see him, he's working inside, right? He 1-2. He misses an uppercut, right? So then the guy tries to throw a hook, blocks the hook, mushes his face. He like jabs / mushes his face, sets him up for that nice, right?
Yes. It was like he knew what he was gonna set up. So what he did, he set him up with a jab, I
It
guess
was like a mush jab, you know, like the
Yes,
one where
yes.
you kind of like hold the guy's head in place so that you
It's-
could let off.
It's basically a jab that you would do in sparring just to figure out the distance in your opponent and maybe throw something.
It was just like a target finder type of jab.
Correct.
Yeah.
But when he had and found that distance and
exploded-
pulled back that
exploded
jab,
that guy's head,
he
bro.
threw that right and forget about it. Lights out for Cody.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit for him. I really do see him
If you can,
having
check out the knockout on YouTube. It's beautiful.
Please, yes. And yeah, the sky's the limit for Rodriguez.
Dímelo, primo.
and look, maybe Top Rank should start considering him, putting him against some quality fighters. Now, nothing too crazy, of course, because I think he's 24, if I'm not mistaken. But I think right now start giving him more of a hype. 24, 5'10", pretty tall. At the super lightweight division. So
shout out to the Dominicans moving, like, you know, I Dominicans in previous years, like the names that come to mind, Jorge Julio, and there was also this guy that actually Pacquiao fought years ago. He passed away. I forgot his name, but yeah, you know, it's pretty cool. You know, pretty cool to see Dominicans on the move up in boxing.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah. Shout out to my primos.
Yeah, there we go. My go-to the week is probably my favorite NBA player since he's entered the league. It's my boy Chris Paul, CP3. You know, he's always been consistently, if not one of the best point guard every year in the NBA. He's getting older, you know, a little bit more injury prone. And you know, when his first year with the Rockets, they pushed the Warriors to 7 games, and he missed the game 7 because of an injury, and they lost that game. So a lot of people were like, and then the next year, you know, people were putting a lot of blame on Chris Paul because I think he had a bad game. I think he was also injured, and people putting a lot of blame on Chris Paul, blah, blah, blah. So the Rockets unceremoniously just trades him to OKC for Russell Westbrook, right? So people are just saying, oh, okay, so he's going to go finish career in OKC, and this is the sunset for him. This is going to be the end. They're going to be a lottery team. Chris Paul's old, blah, blah, blah. And what does he do this year? He takes a young Thunder team with Billy Donovan and wills them. I said that really loud. Wills them into a playoff contender. Now on the verge of eliminating his former team, you know, and then eliminating James Harden, which they also had a little friction in that second season, to eliminating the guy that he was traded for, Russell Westbrook. And just you see the dichotomy between how Chris Paul, 25 points, no turnovers, you see the leadership, right? And then you have Russell Westbrook forcing 7 turnovers, just looking terrible and clearly like not meshing well with James Harden's style, right? Especially in the playoffs. They were doing pretty well prior to that, but not meshing well in the playoffs. Chris Paul is a classic NBA point guard, and not so much just on the court, but in the practice room, in the film room, he shows young players how to be professional. Carry yourself in a professional manner so you become a better NBA basketball player and become a better team. And he's always consistently done that. He did that with the Clippers. You know, the Clippers were a young team, and then he brought them up. And then he kind of went at Griffin and Jordan, DeAndre Jordan, and you know they broke up. But you know, Chris Paul has always been a winner. Now, has he been able to win the championship? No. Everyone says like he's always a bridesmaid, never the bride type of player. But he's 6'0". He's 190 pounds, 80 pounds, right? One of the smallest players, and he always plays big, and he always plays clutch, and he always puts his team in a position to win. And I don't think he gets enough credit for being such a great NBA player, but also such a great person and such a great leader. He's a better leader than he is a basketball player, and you see how good he is as a basketball player, right? He just looked ice cold yesterday, ice cold going against his team for forcing a Game 7, you know? And regardless of what happens in Game 7, I think it's just just shows you that with a less talented Thunder team, he's about to eliminate the best offensive team in the league, the Houston Rockets. And that is my goat of the week. My favorite player since he entered the league, CP3, Wake Forest alumni, represent. He should have won MVP over Kobe back in 2009, I think. That's how I feel. But but shout out to Kobe, rest in peace. But yeah, that's my goat of the week. And I'm a CP3 fan. So
nice.
I mean,
Well said.
yeah. So guys,
he
episode
deserves it.
guys, episode 6 we wrapped up.
Make it rain. Make it rain.
Yeah, give yourself a round of applause.
We just want to, say thank you for listening, guys. And, hey, we're going to provide content on a weekly basis. We're going to upload it as fast as possible. We're going to be a little bit more consistent with uploading it. And, we just want to entertain you guys. And thank you if you're listening, thank you for taking a piece of your day to hang out with us. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for listening. Kyle.
Raul.
KJ, thank you guys.
Honey Bunch of Goats podcast. What up? Let's say that again. I'm going to probably edit that. Maybe not. Honey Bunches of Goats podcast.
There you go.
Episode 6. We out.
You heard?
Deuces.